You know, I haven't done a story time in a while, have I? I got one for you. Today, I was hoping to put up a video up to our web series, but we're having complications on that right now. So we're going to use a story time video. Yeah, I got a pretty good one lined up. I got to paint the picture for you before we go any further. That way, you can follow along. So let's get started, guys. Oh, I love, when I do videos, I love this angle because it holds my hand really steady, and it actually, see what I'm doing is I'm leaning up against a rail, this rail. Now I put my arm up like that and it holds the camera. It's easier for me that way. All right, let's get back to that spot. Okay, many years ago, I used to hang out, I used to have a friend by the name of Jimmy. And Jimmy, his father worked where my father worked. So I used to hang out with him and his brothers, and they actually belonged to a club. I don't know what the name of the club was. I've been trying to think of it for the last hour. I can't think of the name of the club. And that's my beautiful train sound behind me. But anyway, one day Jimmy's like, Mike, why don't you come to the club as my special guest? I think you'll like it. I was like, well, okay, sure. So I got permission from my mom and my dad to go to this club. So Jimmy and his father and his brothers, we all went to this club. Well, it ain't a special club. It might have been. I just wish I could remember the name of it. And inside was just a regular old building, and all the grown-ups were basically doing their thing in one room, and all the kids were doing their thing in another room, and they had a pool table, and it was just a lot of fun. It was some type of boys club, only men could get into, and I personally think it was just a place for grown-ups and kids, just go there and just shoot the breeze, basically. So I went there as a special guest that day and had a grand old time, and my friend Jimmy's like, you want to ever become a member? I was like, what would I have to do? He says, you have to pay fees every week. And you have to go through some type of, what am I looking for? Can't think of the name I'm trying to look for, so some kind of intermission thing, whatever it is. I was like, oh, what do I got to do? Is it like a test or something? He says, no, nothing of the kind. We're just going to basically, take you to a field, and, you're going to be safe the whole time, and you got to find your way, back to a certain point. Blindfolded. I was like, what? Sounds a little scary, Jimmy. Mike, we're going to be with you the whole time. Nothing to be worried about. I did it. My brothers did it. I was like, okay. Now, my friend Jimmy is a year older than I was, and one of his brothers was my age, and his other brother was a year younger than I was, okay? And see, what I did not know, well, we're going to get into the end of the video. I'll tell you what I did not know. So I go there, and it was the night for initiation, and it was another guy being initiated like me, and it was like, okay, boys, let's go for a car ride, but you got to put on the blindfolds. It's nighttime. It's it was getting dark. So we put on the blindfolds, and they set us in the back of the car, and back in the back of the car, Jimmy was with me, and his brother David. So we're riding down the road blindfolded, and we had to keep these blindfolds on for at least an hour. Now, I don't remember what age I was, about 11 or 12, but at that age, an hour is an awful long time. I did not see where I was going. I just knew the car was moving for an hour. And the whole time, Jimmy and David was talking to me and this other guy, and basically carrying on conversations. And I was getting a little nervous, and so was the other guy, and they were calming us down, It's like, Mike, seriously, don't be such a wussy. Come on, you're fine. So I was getting a little nervous. Let's try this shot over here in the shade. This is kind of cool. Want to see my surroundings real quick? Right here's where I had my hand, just like that, and here's my beautiful shade tree. This tree used to be a whole heck of a lot smaller. Okay, let's get back to that shot again. Finally, we reached our destination, okay? The blindfold stayed on the whole time. So we get out there to our destinations. They pull us out of a car, they walk us, then they took the blindfolds off, okay? At first, you couldn't really see nothing because we had the blindfolds on an hour. Then things started coming to view. It's very dark. We're in the middle of nowhere. We're in some field. And we're like, okay, what are we doing out here, you know? This is where your initiation starts, Mike. And they mentioned the other guy, whatever his name was. And said, what you're going to do is, you're going to basically find your way back home. They got into the car and they took off. I looked at the other guys like, what are we going to do now? He started crying. I felt like crying. I admit I did. I was like, we're in the middle of nowhere. It took us at least over an hour to get here. What do we do now? Oh my God, what do we do? We're in the middle of nowhere, okay, at least in our minds, and we're in a field, and all we can see is trees and basically, I don't know, just prairie. And we're walking and we're trying to, we see an old country road, a dirt gravel road, like, okay, maybe we should follow this road. Well, we started following the road, and we hear somebody saying, hey guys! Immediately we turned around. That sounded like Jimmy. Didn't it sound like Jimmy to you? Uh-huh. So we walked about another 10, 15 feet down the road, and then we hear another voice, hey! We're over here! We turned around, and out of the bushes, here come my friend Jimmy, and his brother David, my friend David, and they're laughing their butts off. They're just laughing. They're like, what's so funny? I don't find it funny you dropping us off in the middle of a field and just leaving. And was not knowing where the heck we're at. I don't find that funny. They come up to us, they say, you was never in any kind of danger. Come here. It took us about from here to about across the street, and what, I'm guessing 30 feet. Beyond the bushes, and say, look. And there was that building that we went to that first night that the club was in, and the whole time was no more than 30 feet from the building. And we thought we was in the middle of nowhere in some field, and this is the funny part right here. They just kept driving around town for an hour. I was having blindfolds on, trying to make us think that they're taking us out in the middle of nowhere. And that was the initiation. So it was really no initiation. It was just a lot of fun for them. So basically, I got back, and the grown-ups came up, shook my hand, shook the other guy's hand, and said, you guys are good sports. I'm sorry. We had to do it. I am sorry. And hopefully we didn't scare you too bad. We're like, oh, we wasn't scared. We're tough. We wasn't scared at all. Yeah, that's a lot of crap. We wasn't scared. You guys ever joined a club like that before? You know, for the life of me, I don't know what the name of that club was. I don't know. I have no idea. I have a general idea what it might have been, but I can't even think of that name. If I think of it, I'll put it somewhere here. I don't know if I will. But I have no idea. I could even try to mention a name, but I don't want to goof up on it. Technically, to be honest with you, I think I went to one more meeting. Then Mom made me quit. Don't know why Mom made me quit, but she made me quit. I don't know. But yeah, you guys ever get initiated into a club? This is the only club I ever belonged to in my entire life. The only one. Even when I was going to cooking school, I never belonged to a club there. It's the only one I ever belonged to in my entire life, and I only got to go twice. That's it. It was fun, though. Even though I was scared to death, it was fun. It was funny. Imagine, if you will, basically being taken out, blindfolded, in the middle of nowhere, being dropped off, and they leave you, and you are just completely terrified. You and this other guy. Completely terrified. Like, oh my God, I got to find my way back. And the only thing that goes through my mind is, I'm not going to get home in time. Mom's going to be mad. I'm going to get a whipping. And then when Mom asks what happened, I'm going to tell her what happened. I'm going to get another whipping. And then how can my friend Jimmy do this to me? Was this purposely done? Or do they want us to get hurt? Are we going to ever make it back? We was terrified. Only to find out we was no more than 30 feet from the building. 30 feet! I don't know. Silly kids, I guess. But yeah, leave me comments down there, guys. You ever had a initiation to a club that was similar to this? You know? Let me know. You know, thinking about this now just brings back, I don't know, I like thinking about memories like that. Even though I was scared to death, but it was so much fun. Because once I figured out what was going on, it was like relief. Instant relief. I was like, oh. And then my buddy Jimmy apologized all night. He says when he was initiated, actually they didn't come back for him for an hour later. I said, what kept you from finding the building? He says, oh no, Mike. I don't know how true this is. He said, they actually took me to a real field and dropped me off. I don't know how true that was. Because like I said, Jimmy is, about 13, 14? So he might have been putting me on, but then again, you never know. They might have dropped Jimmy off in a real field. You know, I miss my buddy Jimmy. I do. You ever have them friends that you haven't spoke to in a while? A long while? I wonder whatever happened to my buddy Jimmy. I went through high school with Jimmy. Went through high school. We even worked the same job at Dockside 6. We had the same job. He didn't last as long as I did because I progressed my career there. I started going to school and learning how to do chef training and stuff. And but you know, all the way up until 1986 was that year. That's the year my mom passed on, by the way. It's the last time I seen Jimmy. 1986. I have no idea what happened to him. Last I knew, he was driving a taxi cab for the city I lived in, and I don't know whatever happened to him. You know, nowadays you can almost find anybody on the internet, right? And yeah, this is a continuation of the story time, guys. I just feel like reminiscing. Is that okay? Is that cool, guys, if I reminisce? But anyway, many times, and just recently, I tried to look up my buddy Jimmy, and it's like he dropped off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened to him. I did get as far to find out his brother David passed on. Yeah. My friend David, which was Jimmy's brother, I found that out. He passed away, which is sad. But I never could figure out what happened to my buddy Jimmy, though. It's, you know, I figure, you know, nowadays, all you need is a name and maybe an idea where they live, and you can find anybody on the internet, and especially Facebook. I can't find them. And I often wonder whatever happened to my buddy Jimmy. Maybe he's making YouTube videos like I'm doing. Maybe he's grown, well, he's grown up, he's a grown man. Let's see, I'm 53, so he'd be 54, 55 years of age. Maybe he has a family, you know. You know, maybe he's doing the same thing I'm doing. I don't know. I often wonder what happened to him. He was my best friend in school. Yeah. Had lots of best friends, and he was probably one of the tops, and we lost touch in 1986. And the reason we lost touch in 1986 is when my mom passed away, that's when I took off to live in North Carolina. I told you guys that. When I worked as a fencer. Yeah, that was on one of my story times, and I lived in North Carolina. When I came back, I didn't see him after that. I don't know. By some chance, Jimmy, if you're watching this video, leave me a comment. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know where you're living. Let's hook up. Let's do something. You know? I doubt it, though. I don't know. Maybe this video might reach him. Who knows? Okay, guys. Sorry about that. Maybe it's just me being old, missing some old buds. There's a couple other buds I miss out there, too. Jim Romanello. I don't know if he's still with us, though. He was another buddy of mine. A couple others. Steve. My buddy Steve. I have no idea what happened to him either. You know? Another buddy, Michael. These are all the guys I went to school with. Whatever happened to him. Alright, guys, that's it. I'm sorry. I'm reminiscing on. I'm sorry. I get like this. My kids, this is why I tell you guys story time. You know that, don't you? Because my kids heard all my stories, and they're sick of hearing it. But you guys haven't, and I got lots more. Plus, I hate it when I reminisce, too. Dad, we know. Dad, we heard it all before. Dad, Dad, Dad. So you guys could be like, Mike, Mike, Mike. I get it. Till next time, guys, come on. Let's get out of here. And maybe tomorrow I might have a video from the web series. We're having issues. We're trying to pin them down now. We'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.